Hi, everyone. Thanks for being here today. I've got a story that's personal, emotional, and honestly a little shocking. So grab a seat and let's get into it. I'm 34F, married for 7 years to my husband, 41 Mem, together for 10. I love my husband and always thought he felt the same about me. We built a life together. 8 years ago, he had severe anxiety and couldn't sleep, so I would stay up with him, holding his hands and doing breathing exercises until he could finally rest. I'd go to work exhausted. I helped him find a therapist. I encouraged him to grow in his career, even though he was afraid. 6 years ago, I quit my job to take care of his mom who had cancer because he had the potential to earn more than me. While I was job hunting again, I got pregnant and he suggested I stay home to take care of him and our daughter. So I did. I cared for him and I loved him. In December, he got a promotion, which meant more hours. I gave birth to our daughter in March. I went through a phase where I felt horrible, fat, ugly, and it was just me and my baby at home. He barely talked to me, always said he was tired, and that I wouldn't understand what he had to say. If it wasn't for my mom staying on video calls with me, I think I would have felt completely abandoned. I've been suggesting couples therapy since June, and he kept saying everything was fine. Now I feel like I'm nothing more than a mother. I used to read, study, be interesting. I wasn't sexually frustrated or insecure back then. I used to have conversations about politics, music, books, art. I decorate our house myself with my own savings, and it's everything I ever dreamed of. I love my house, the colors, the furniture, my kitchen. It took me years to make it exactly how I wanted. I have the garden I always dreamed of, a vegetable patch I adore, and a hanging chair where I love to sit with my baby. Last week, he came home later than usual, and I was happy to see him. I was in the living room playing with our daughters. He asked the older one to go to her room. He seemed like he had been drinking, and then said, "I love you so much, but I don't want to be with you anymore." He told me I wasn't the person he fell in love with anymore. Then he said he was in love with a girl from work, that she was everything he'd ever dreamed of, and that he needed to give himself the chance to live that love without guilt. Yes, he cheated on me with a 22-year-old. When I finally managed to speak, the only thing that came out was, "But what about my home decor?" At some point, I picked up my baby and started shouting things like, "I put time into this house. I did everything it needed. This house is mine." We argued because apparently I didn't value his suffering enough. I don't know why I kept talking about the house. I guess I'm disposable. I'm 34, with a 4-month baby and a 4-year-old daughter. I don't have a job. I'm going to lose my dream home. I feel ugly, fat, and he's told me he's not attracted to me anymore because I gained too much weight during my last pregnancy. When I went to bed that night, I just stared at the ceiling. My baby was asleep in the bassinet next to me, and I could hear my husband snoring on the couch in the living room. He didn't even try to sleep next to me after dropping that bomb. The weirdest part? My brain just kept circling back to the house. The kitchen tiles I picked after months of saving, the paint I chose for the nursery, the garden I grew with my own hands. It was like my brain couldn't process losing him yet, but it could process losing my dream home. The next morning, I couldn't hide it anymore. I called my mom and broke down crying. She kept telling me, "Sweetheart, you are not disposable. You gave everything to this family. You are strong enough to get through this." She said she'd try to fly out as soon as possible. Later that day, I drove to his mom's house. I was shaking the whole way. She opened the door and hugged me before I even said a word. When I finally told her what happened, she looked horrified. She actually said, "How could he do this after everything you did for him? After everything you did for me?" His brother came over too. He went through a divorce last year because his ex-wife cheated, so he understood. He told me, "Don't let him make you feel worthless. He's the one making this mistake. You need to protect yourself and the girls now." That gave me some strength. But when I got home, my husband was waiting. He looked almost relieved. Like confessing made him lighter. He told me he wanted to make the separation as peaceful as possible, that he didn't want to hurt me any more than he already has. And then he had the audacity to say, "You'll be happier without me. You'll see." Happier? I have a 4-month-old baby, a 4-year-old who asks me why daddy doesn't play with her anymore, and no job. I gave up everything to support him. And now he thinks I'll be happier without him? I told him flat out, "You don't get to blow up my life and then act like you're doing me a favor." That night, I started writing down a list. Divorce. Lawyer, financial documents, birth certificates, proof that I took care of his mom for years. I don't know how much that will matter, but it felt like a way to take control. And still, part of me just stood in the kitchen and cried over the cabinets I painted myself. Isn't that insane? He's leaving me for a 22-year-old coworker and I'm crying over cabinets. The truth is, it's not about the cabinets. It's about everything they represent. The life I built. The future I thought I had. I keep looking at my daughters and thinking, I need to fight. For them, for me, for the life we deserve. When the papers were finally filed, it felt like both a relief and a gut punch. Her husband didn't even look shocked, more insulted. Like, how dare you leave me after everything? The first meeting with the lawyer was terrifying. She expected a cold professional, but instead, her attorney, a woman in her 40s, listened, nodded, and simply said, "Don't apologize for protecting yourself." That sentence stuck like glue. Her mom came over almost every day, brought food, sat quietly, sometimes just folded laundry. No lectures, no pity, just presence. That's the thing about moms. They can make survival feel like routine, but her husband, he turned nasty fast. Suddenly, every conversation was about his rights. He demanded the house, saying he needed it for stability. He argued over custody, even though she had been the primary parent for years. One night, he shouted in front of the kids, "Your mom is trying to take everything from me." And the kids cried, confused, clinging to her side. That night, she promised herself, never again. No more scenes like this. The lawyer reminded her, "He'll fight dirty, but you don't have to. The court sees the patterns. Keep your dignity." And she tried. Even when her ex twisted stories, even when her brother, yes, that brother, called her selfish for not letting the husband keep the house. She stayed quiet, wrote everything down, and trusted the process. Inside, she was torn apart. Every time she tucked her kids into bed, she wondered if she was ruining their lives. But then she remembered the ring, the moment of truth. Losing it was like a symbol. The old life was gone. What she was building now, that had to be stronger. Weeks turned into months. Papers, hearings, endless emails. It was exhausting. But she noticed something. Her reflection looked different. Tired, yes, but also harder, sharper. She was learning to say no without guilt. She sat on the porch one evening, divorce almost finalized, kids asleep, mom in the kitchen. And she thought, people tell you family is everything. But nobody says what to do when your family becomes the ones tearing you apart. Do you let them destroy you, or do you draw a line in the sand? Her eyes burned, but she smiled through the tears. For the first time in years, she felt like the main character of her own life. And she turned the question to the audience. What would you choose? Peace with toxic people or peace within yourself? It's been a year since the divorce was finalized. The court ruled fairly, shared custody of the kids, the house sold and split, and no more late-night arguments about who deserves what. Her ex tried to play the fun parent card for a while, buying the kids expensive gadgets and letting them stay up way past bedtime. But kids are smarter than we give them credit for. Eventually, they noticed who was really there for them. Every single school play, every doctor's appointment, every tear in the middle of the night. Her daughter told her, "Mom, I feel safe here. Dad's house is fun, but yours feels like home." And her son, who used to side with his father, admitted quietly, "I don't want to choose sides, but I know you never lied to us." Financially, it was hard. Emotionally, even harder. But slowly, she built a new life. She went back to her hobbies, started therapy, and even laughed again without feeling guilty. Looking back, she realized the ring wasn't really the end. It was just the beginning of a chapter where she finally chose herself. And maybe that's the hardest but most important lesson. Sometimes you don't get to keep the family the way you wanted, but you do get to keep your dignity. So now she asks you, what would you choose? Peace with people who betray your trust, or peace within yourself? If this story taught me anything, it's this. Red flags don't fade with time, they just get brighter when you ignore them. Kids notice everything. You can fool your partner, maybe even yourself, but never your children. Silence isn't peace. Pretending everything is fine only delays the explosion. A broken family is still better than a fake one. At least there, love has a chance to heal. Choosing yourself isn't selfish. Sometimes it's the only way to survive. And here's the final thought. Forgiveness doesn't always mean reconciliation. Sometimes it just means letting go so you can finally breathe again. So now I want to ask you, what's harder, walking away or staying and losing yourself?